Welcome back to Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm James Pendleton. I'm joined by Terry McAllister and Owen Parks. And today we're going to be talking about Everton's January transfer window. A very, very long month. I mean, January always is, just in general, but for this club, it's just been a whirlwind. Pretty much everything that could have happened has happened so far, or certainly over the last month anyway. And also we're here to sort of dissect that now. The main news, I think, is obviously about the outgoings that we've made and the lack of incoming. So we'll start with the outgoings, and I'll start with you, Owen. Anthony Gordon obviously left the club, £45 million. It looks like, obviously, brilliant deal for Everton on the surface, but I just feel like that's been massively tarnished by what's happened over the last few days. The fact that no one else has come in, not just to replace him, but in the rest of the squad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still glad we sold him because I didn't like his attitude much, to be honest, and I don't think he's a very good player. But that being said, we did have to replace him. But look, the positives is we've got £45 million for someone who I don't really rate much highly than some Championship wingers, and so wherever really you can't really say no to that. Um, I don't really care about him or hold any of this kind of animosity that people seem to be bringing out because I literally don't care at this point. I've never really cared when he was getting his plaudits last season. I never give him because I don't really see him as a very good player, but he's got us good money, to be fair to him. And yeah, I hope he does what he does. Man, it's good money, and I still wouldn't take that back, even though we brought no one in, because as sort of as much of like a crab as we see him, I feel like an Andros Townsend would be more effective for us than Anthony Gordon. So I'm literally not losing any sleep over that, even though we brought no one in.
Yeah, I mean, I think I sort of share that sentiment that I didn't really understand the animosity towards him, certainly prior to the past week or so. Obviously, some things have gone on, but as I say, I just kind of see it as really good money. But Terry, would you agree with that? That the feeling of, well, it's good money, we've not spent any of it at all, not even bringing someone in on loan. Does that just kind of make you feel like, not that it was pointless because the money will still be good for Everton, but we are now just weaker than we went into the window?
Yeah, I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't knowing what I know now. I'd still make that same decision. I'd just say, I'm sorry, an academy player who's come through and done very little and has an attitude that absolutely stinks. And you can see that on the pitch. And another club's offering £45 million for him, and in our position, I'd still take it. Now, the I don't hold any lamb like Owen. I don't hold any animosity towards him. In fact, my opinion of him's never been higher than it is right now because the money to the club is worth well more than he was. Because let's he's not that good. Richarlison was a very important player and a key player who we've had to sell and we haven't replaced properly. And that's the thing. We've done that now with Gordon, and Gordon wouldn't have been very hard to replace. Like what he contributed to the team wasn't a patch on what Richarlison did. So the thing to me, the story is, it's not they sold him and he sold him. It's that I can't believe they didn't have they didn't sort anyone else out to come in. Anyone, a loan deal, anything. It's like the one thing you could rely on the Everton board to do in recent years is to, you know, make transfers, like lash, stupid money around, or get people through the door. Seems to be the only thing that they can do is bring players in. They're not always the right player or players who will value for money. But I am absolutely stunned, even with how bad the board is and how bad they've been in January, especially that window shut and no one was brought in. I thought, I thought that people saying we needed 3 or 4 players were being unrealistic. Think it's like that never happens. It never works when it does happen, frankly. But I thought they'll probably get two in. They'll get 2 loans. They'll get a winger and a forward, and they're not going to be groundbreaking. They're not going to be world beaters, but they'll get them in, and hopefully they'll be better than last season's Dele Alli and
Deli and
Tony.
Donny.
Yeah, Dele and Donny.
I remember
No one. And if Alex Crook from Talksport's to be believed, we were just running around on deadline day, basically muddling up other people's moves for players by pretending we wanted to take them, but we didn't actually have the we couldn't fill our trousers out. We couldn't, we were talking like we'll take this player on loan and obligation to buy if we stay up, and clubs are probably thinking, no, it's deadline day. Why are we going to accept a sweetheart deal for you? It's madness to me. I imagine being told in August, or September when Calvert-Lewin was injured and they chose to write off what was it, 6 games without a proper striker. They said, well, we've only got 10 games before it's January. Only got 10 games before it's January because of the World Cup. So we'll grit our teeth and write these games off almost without a forward, and we'll get them in January. And now January came and went, and they let a forward go and a winger go. And regardless of how bad you think they were still players who played for us this season. They'd had some contribution in Rondon and Gordon, and they've brought nobody in. They've actually weakened the team and the squad in the January transfer window rather than strengthened it. And everyone else in the whole league is now stronger than they were going into the window. So it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible that they've done it.
Yeah, I mean, I think your last point there, that's the one that gets me the most, because this doesn't surprise me, but I think we were linked with both Sulemana and Onuachu on deadline day in the days leading up to when they've both gone to Southampton. They were one of the teams I was banking on to go down, but the last few weeks, including beating us, it's sort of changed my view on that. They've signed half a dozen players. Forest obviously have, but I'm not really sure that's going to work. West Ham strengthened, all the teams down there, Wolves as well, they've all strengthened quite a lot. So it's a big worry for me, certainly. But I think most of the fan base are on the same page. The money for Gordon was very good, and we certainly couldn't turn that down. But then just before we sold him, obviously Arnaud Danjuma looked like he was going to come in. Obviously, doesn't really play in the same position as Anthony Gordon. Very different type of player. Is a much better player for my money, but obviously that's completely fallen through when he went to Tottenham. What did you sort of make of that situation, Owen? Because that looked like, obviously, well, it was a done deal pretty much in all but the last signature, it seemed like, and then obviously he's decided not to come to Everton.
Well, the thing for me is that he was a good player, and he is a good player. And if he gets games or wherever, he will score goals, and he would be ideal. And I'm gutted we didn't get him in one way, but in another way, if that's the type of lad he is, then is that someone we really want hanging around here in the relegation battle? I don't know. I still would take him because I still think he would get goals, and goals is everything at this moment, isn't it? So I don't know. The big thing for me in this whole January window is the fact that we couldn't is that we left appointing Sean Dyche up until 2 days before the window finished, and didn't really give anyone a chance to sort of like let him identify what he needs for the team, having had a month for it. Frank Lampard should have been gone like properly like ages and ages ago, and and Sean Dyche should have been the manager ages and ages ago. And I guarantee that both things had happened, we would not be like hoping for the best now. And that's where I am with the whole window. It's that frustration of us waiting and waiting on a manager who was rubbish, and we did it last year. But the one big difference this year is we've got a decent replacement in, and we've just got to hope that's enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think the attitude for me, that's a big one in terms of some of the things that the Bobble was saying. Seemed like he basically didn't turn up. He met some of the players, there's pictures of them with the kits, which I'm sure will come out in the wash at some point. But I think especially when you get a lone player, that just screams to me that they're properly not arsed. And if that's his attitude, then that's obviously no real loss to us in terms of that. And I'm not sure Sean Dyche would have taken that. But I think the three of us all are in agreement he should have been gone, certainly long before he actually did go in the end, and that's hampered us massively. In terms of our outgoings, Terry, a few young players obviously left, like Joe Anderson, Nathan Broadhead, Niels Nkunku's gone out on loan again, but obviously he's never going to play for Everton again, I don't think. And obviously no one's come in, but I think other than, sorry, Ellis Sims, who came back off loan. How do you sort of see his season panning out now? Because apparently Sunderland were looking to get him back, and in the end that didn't materialise. He's had 5 minutes here or there. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to me from my point of view, but how do you see Ellis Sims' remainder of the season panning out?
Depends on how the other strikers stay fit or not, if they stay fit or not, rather. It's a disgrace the way we've treated Ellis Sims. He's on loan at Sunderland. He's doing dead well. He's getting somewhere. And then we bring him back, play him for 5 minutes so we can't play for anyone else, so, apart from us or Sunderland, if he was to go back. And now he's, well, I don't know with Dyche, you can't rule anything out, but when it was Lampard, he was the third choice. It was like, what was the point in that? You'd swear bringing him back, you'd have an idea for him, or like, well, actually, if we play 4-4-2, maybe he's got a role to play. Maybe, if Dyche plays Calvert-Lewin and Mopay as his starting strikers, so he sees that as working, that you might see a lot more of Ellis Sims, but it was just another thing in the long list of stupid things we've done this season as a club and as a board and what have you, is just to basically snake Ellis Sims on his development this season. Like, it'd only be worthwhile if he starts becoming part of the team and contributing to it this season. But I don't think there's any evidence so far to suggest he's going to. I think it was just a panic move. We've got no money. Clearly, we'll touch on that in a minute. And we just thought we've got a striker there who's doing well in the Championship, so why not bring him back? So we were talking about bringing in a Gyökeres from Coventry, but I think Ellis Sims has got a better goals per game ratio than him. So, not to say that he's a better player. Sorry, go on.
I think Ellis Sims will get minutes. I think he's got the right physical profile. I think he's good in the air. We've got Rondo. I don't think, as bad as he is, I don't think Dyche would have released Rondo, not without another striker coming in. I think he would have kept him around. And now Ellis Sims has come back. I think he'll be enough because we've got 3 strikers, and if we're playing 2 up front, he's going to get minutes at some point, isn't he?
Yeah. Depends, really. We don't know yet how the rest of the team's going to pan out under Dyche. It's easy to guess, the formation, what have you, but will it be, Damari Gray will be classed as a second striker rather than a wide player? We haven't got a lot of wide players either, so can we even afford to do that? But I think, you might be right. Ellis Sims might start getting minutes because there's just no other bodies, because we've left them woefully short, but we'll see as well. There's obviously free agents who might come in as well, which I'm sure we'll touch on.
Another thing as well, we talk about wide players, and this isn't really ideal because we want to play wide players there, but with no one coming in, Dyche has been known in the past to put a midfielder on the right. Now I'm wondering if we've got anyone maybe who's like the most technical midfielder we've got.
It will be.
Yeah, Malik we've got there. Yeah, it'll probably be him. Track him back, and that's what we kind of need. And I don't know. I can see a situation where we try and put players into certain spaces just for the defensive sort of shape of the team. I can see that kind of thing happening. We've got a squad. Players are coming back. Townsend, Garner. It really isn't ideal, like I say, but we've got what we've got now, isn't it? There's not maybe an Andre Ayew, but someone else comes in, but nothing else is coming in, so we might as well crack on and see what
they've left the manager so woefully short of options. Now he's an excellent manager. Me and Owen have gone on record a million times, probably a billion in Owen's case, saying what a good manager he is, and he'll probably get more out of this group of players than the previous manager, to say the least. But his options are so limited now. If we get any injuries in certain positions, we're scrambling around to fix square pegs in round holes. We've got Townsend's obviously has a very long injury and is an older player, so unless he can come back fit, we've got 2 natural wide players at the club, and 2 natural strikers, and we're going to probably play all 4 of them. So if you get an injury to one of them, you're starting to move people out of position. So, and how often do you just get one injury? But yeah, I mean, we could go on all night about it, but window. Imagine being told in that World Cup break when we got beat by Bournemouth 2 times in a week that January will come and go. We'll let Lampard lose game after game after game to all the teams around us, make the change almost exactly the same time as last year with no time left in the window, and bring nobody in. We'd set the seats on fire at Goodison and be like, what? We're not going to bring anyone in. We're weak already, and we've weakened the team and let a load of winnable games go with a bad manager. It's incredible. It's like work experience. Kids are running a Premier League football club with this board of directors.
It's unbelievable. I think as well, out of the minimal wide players you've got, I mean, I think Iwobi's got that work rate and he's got that technical ability that we say, but he's a terrible crosser of the ball, and that's something that does worry me. And I just sort of think Andros Townsend is the only natural right-sided midfielder too, which again doesn't bear thinking about. I think we will see square pegs and round holes, centre-backs at full-back, etc. I think it's going to be a bit of that certainly in the first part. Speaking of players who can play out wide, but this one can also play up front as well. You touched on then Terry. Andre Ayew looks to be the only player who could be coming in. I watched him in the World Cup, and he had to be probably the slowest player I've ever seen at a major tournament, and he's naturally being heavily linked to Everton. I'd love to know who the other Premier League team is who are scrambling around for him. According to Fabrizio Romano, who's meeting 2 teams today, I couldn't possibly think who the other one could be.
I could. Who's the team who's trying to sign everybody else?
That was what my mate said, and I was like, even them, I can't see it because I'm just like, why would they do that? They've got
you'll probably get games here,
options.
Addicted to signing players, and he played for Steve Cooper at Swansea as well. But
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. What do you think about him as a potential signing or stopgap or temporary measure?
What I think about him is we're running out of time, so it's probably best that we end the video and say no more about Andre Ayew.
He will probably get games though if we bring him in because we've got no one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd still take him in. I know he's shite, but we can't be beggars.
He's a good finisher though. Is one thing he is. He's still at like 33. He knows where the net is. So, but to get him in that position, he can't fucking move.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm at the point now where beggars can't be choosers. We've got a dearth of actual professionals who can play in attacking areas. So if it's him or not, it's going to have to be him, innit? But yeah, let's leave it.
A week or a month, and we're scrambling around for Andre Ayew after the deadline.
I know. See if James McFadden still wants to come in on a free after the deadline.
As I said last night, we're now away from Berlioz here.
No, it is dire straits. It is dire straits. But yeah, I think it's quite clear that this could have been a really decent window if we'd made the sale of Gordon earlier, and if we'd had Sean Dyche in, and I'm sure we would have had plenty of targets to get, and this could have been fine. But there's Chinese whispers. There's so many things going on with the club that you don't know what's true, what's not, whether we've got the money, whether we can spend it, whether we can't, who we actually tried to get, who we didn't, loads of things. But that's our sort of roundup of what was a really disappointing January transfer window. So make sure to drop us a like, subscribe, and tune in for more Everton related content on the Toffee Blues. Thank you very much.